Respect and love yourselves. Respect and love your families. Be a source of respect and love within your community so that the universe will reward you reciprocally. Remember, we receive what we put out. What you do for others, you in essence do for yourselves. Likewise, what you have not mastered doing for yourself, you will be challenged to do for others. Therefore, love yourselves, care for yourselves, invest in yourselves, and be kind to yourselves, so that you might be able to be channels and instruments of love, care, kindness, and investment in others.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Lauryn Hill, and my take on her top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, express yourself.
I think everything happens in time. You know, there's a time for everything. There's a time to be in a group, and there's a time to be solo. At least there was for me. If I'd had it my way, I would have been in the group forever. You know, I enjoyed the group atmosphere. I thought, you know, it's so good to have two guys on stage backing you up. But the interesting thing about entertainment is that when you're struggling, everybody goes in with the same goals. You know, but somewhere along the success area, you start to look at everyone around you and go, wait a minute, where are you going? Where are you headed? Because I'm going this way. Wait, what happened? I thought we were all on the, you know, and sometimes success can do that. Sometimes it really illuminates, you know, creative differences, spiritual differences, you know, emotional differences. And I, you know, just like a young person would think that, you know, the friends that my 5th grade friends are gonna be my friends forever, you know, throughout high school, and it's not that they cease being your friends, but sometimes you just mature to a place and some people get there faster, some people don't, you know, and you know, hopefully, ultimately, everyone catches up. But, you know, it's really interesting because I didn't actually make a decision to be solo. It really just happened. I promise you that. It's hard to explain, but you know, I'd intended to be in the group forever until I found myself in circumstances where I felt the inner desire to express myself freely and openly without any constraint, you know, without anybody saying, hey, you can't say that. That's not fly. You can't say that. People won't, you know what I mean? So, you know, the only way I could have done that was in doing a solo release.
Rule number 3, work on self-improvement.
We have so many of the answers. We have the technology. We have the wealth. We just have to be willing to share it. And in order for us to do that, we have to do the work in and on ourselves so that we can be conduits of change and improvement for other people. Because that's really what it's about. We have the ability. We have to be in a position where we're willing to do that for others because we're so confident in our own abilities, in our own grace, and our own blessings that we can actually pass knowledge and information on to others. But we can make a way. You know, I think part of the reason why there's so much invention in the technological space right now is because you have a lot of young cats who weren't given the tools, but they certainly have the ability. And what the space does is it neutralizes so much so that, you know, if you don't have on the right clothing or you don't choose all the right words all the time, you still have a way. So in that respect, we should be very proud, you know what I mean? Very, very happy, very pleased with what's happening. We just want to make sure that we retain freedom, though.
Rule number 4, stand for the truth.
I feel now, at the ripe old age of 25, that the only thing that I could do is serve others. You understand what I'm saying? And because there are people who have not reached that point in their walk, you know, yes, there's a little anger, there's a little resentment, because you raise a standard. You know, you especially when you do it and you make some noise, you know, and you do it and people actually listen to what you have to say, and like your record is bumping on the radio and you're saying something that holds a mirror up to a lot of the negativity and self-indulgent things and messages that a lot of other people, you know, but we're all young. I mean, I have a hard time being so hard on the music world, especially hip hop, because most of them come out of the hood 17 years old, having no clue or concept, having no concept of what life really is. And because hip hop is so fast and what we like changes so quickly, by the time they do get a concept, they're no longer making records. You know, so I've been put in this unique position. I have this very unique responsibility that God has made me aware while I still have the mic. You know, and it's like I was expressing to my good friend today, I said, my mother, you know, she taught me, she raised me with certain morals and certain standards, but you know, like any kid, when I was out there with my friends, you know, I cut up, I wilded out, acted up, amongst people whose mothers may not have taught them the same ideals. But every time I acted up, it was like my mother was always right there. She was always there, like, Lauryn, I see you and you know better. You know, and I got in trouble, and that is how my Father in heaven responds to me. Listen, I told you don't do that. I told you don't do that. And I told you that you better have the courage, because the kids, they may talk about you. They might say bad things about you, but you know, when you come home, what I have waiting for you if you do what I tell you to, and also what I have waiting for you if you don't. So that's enough for me. You know, that's enough for me. I have reached a place, and I'm telling you, I'm so blessed to have reached this place where, you know, 5 years ago, I was so thin-skinned. Whatever anybody said would just, oh, my God, they don't like this rhyme, and oh, my songs, and you know, and then one day I woke up. And it was like my skin was just, it was so thick, it was impenetrable by those fiery darts. They just had no effect. And I realized that was a strength and a confidence that only came from a higher source.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, the science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action for you to build a habit. So I've created a special free program to help you, where every day for 254 days, I will send you an email that has a link to an unlisted video that, if you watch it, will boost your confidence forward. The link to join for free is in the description below.
If you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, what's the thing you would love to be doing with your life?
Successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be.
Cognitive dissonance is when you have literally thought about a version of yourself that you're not currently living right now.
Rule number 5, build a great team.
I think that God, you know, surrounded me with the right team, you know, with the team that I needed to help me exercise all of my ideas. You know, it's like, you know, you need that. You need that army. You need that force. You know what I mean? No man is an island. You know, so I refused to take all the praise, you know, for that, because they were talented musicians, you know. They were talented engineers. They were talented production assistants who really, really, you know, were there. And if I had an idea, I was able to express it and, you know, made them stay and work diligently till it was expressed. And, you know, that I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that if there's a will, there's a way.
Rule number 6, have an education.
Before I became a recording artist, made music videos, or performed on stage one, I was raised by parents who loved me and who instilled in me a great love for education. Those, being loved and loving to learn, were the tools that would help to facilitate everything else. Drive is a key component. Passion is also a major foundational component if you want to be able to help design your own path. And with these, education and a love for learning are essential. We live in a changing world where systems and structures have become more malleable and in some cases are even uncertain. We are challenged not just to learn, but to learn how to learn. When we value knowledge and remain open, we can with wisdom apply to life what we know and thereby help to become the architects of what we love. We can help what we love come to life, come into existence in the world.
Rule number 7, don't be afraid.
We have to be determined, and you have to know that for me now, I'm learning that it's more important to be righteous than to be right. I've tried to be right. You know, this is right. This is an injustice. This is a travesty. I'm right. But I've been very unrighteous and still right. Oh my God, you know, because you can attack someone completely right, but it doesn't resolve anything. You know, it doesn't it doesn't solve your problem. So I understand now that the battlefield and that the war is so much greater than what we see before us. You know, I live in this physical body. This is like my address, like 22 Eder Terrace. I just gave everybody my address, but that's my address. Fight me, no. But this is where I live, you know, but there's something much deeper. Who I am, you know, has nothing to do with, you know, the hair and the shoes and stuff, even though I like shoes. But, you know, it has nothing to do with that. So you know, and what I do, I mean, I find there's a lot of power in prayer. So I pray for the people who don't understand me. And I tell you, to be honest with you, I pray more now to be understood. No, excuse me, to understand than to be understood. I pray now to learn how to love than to be loved. Because God has given me an abundance, so, you know, I don't need God. These people don't understand me. They think I'm crazy. Every time I'm on the mic, they just, you know, it's not about that. I pray that I understand them so that I can talk to them, minister to them even more. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just not afraid of, you know, it's of no effect. It's immaterial to me. Because our enemies are not physical bodies. They're actually our family. They don't know it, and we don't always know it, but our enemies are not, you know, they're not flesh and blood. And our problems are not flesh and blood, even though we think they are. Question. I know that was very, like, I don't mean to sound ethereal, because what I'm saying, I'm telling you, is heavy as bricks. It's concrete. It's very concrete. Sometimes it can sound like doo-doo-doo, you know, but it's not that. You know, it's like, who saw the movie The Matrix? Okay, good. Then we can start from a point of reference. Matrix was a banging movie to me, and the reason why I appreciated it so much was because, do you remember at the end when Neo like realized his potential? He started to see the binary code. You remember that, the whole world? Well, that's where I'm trying to be spiritually. I'm trying to see the word of God in the whole world. So every time that agent throws a punch, I'm like, I see you. Oh, okay. You know, I'm just catching his punches. You know, so I'm not afraid. You know, I'm not afraid because I'm starting to see that. You know, things are just, situations materialize themselves and, oh, he's an agent. You know, but here's the trick. Here's the trick. You know, here's the trick, is that you have to remember that sometimes you can be an agent. You can be an agent to yourself. You can be an agent against someone else and not even realize that you're being used, you know? That's the Matrix.
Rule number 8, take the lessons.
Miseducation, you know, wow. Every day it means something more to me, actually. People automatically thought, you know, oh my, she must not have done, you know, maybe their teachers didn't teach anything, but that wasn't it. The meaning behind it was really sort of a catch in me learning that, you know, when I thought I was my most wise, really not wise at all. And in my humility, you know, and in those places that most people wouldn't expect a lesson to come from, that's where I learned so much. And, you know, and so I termed the phrase miseducation, you know, not because it was a miseducation per se, but just because it was sort of contrary to what the world says is education. You know, it was this education that came from life and experience, you know, and not necessarily academic, all academic, but related to living. I'd gone through a lot, you know, a huge emotional and spiritual battle prior to the creation of that album. And the funny thing is that while I was going in the battle, I couldn't see my hand despite my face. I mean, I really couldn't see anything because I was so emotionally entangled in everything that I'd gone through. But it was like once I was delivered from that situation, you know, and once I got the perspective, was able to look back at heartache and look back at pain and disappointment, for some reason, it all was so clear. You know, it was just like the picture started to form itself. The songs started to create themselves. I was able to look back and be a narrator of my own situation. But the interesting thing was that it couldn't happen while I was in the middle of the confusion.
Rule number 9, have integrity.
We always retain our right to our integrity. You know, that no amount of money or no kind of relationships compromise our ability to make decisions that aren't just money-based, you know what I mean?
Say that one more time?
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
To make sure that we're in a position always to make decisions that aren't just money-based, but that are moral, that are ethical, that are right. That we evolve, we evolve morally, emotionally, spiritually, ethically as we evolve technologically, financially. We just have to make sure that we're aligned.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is be vigilant.
The world is an open field. Remain in love with life, knowing that despite challenges, there are always solutions. Be vigilant. Don't be afraid to ask the questions you need answered in order to be satisfied with knowledge and to get the understanding you need so that you can make bold, informed steps and also not be afraid to take risks. Faithfully explore and pursue what you might not have experienced yet, but is still there waiting for you.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and just get motivated, you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That's what the science says. And that is not good enough, Believe Nation. We need to do better. When you actually get motivated and then create a specific plan of action for what you're going to do this week, you have a 91% chance of following through. And when you publicly commit to somebody else, like leaving a comment below on this video, it jumps even higher. So I want that for you. I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week so I can celebrate with you.
The world is filled with way too many bright people for us to still have the problems that we have in the world. It's going to be our shame, you know what I mean? That we don't sit together and create people who invest with thought and consideration and care to solve the world's problems. If we can do all these things that we do digitally, technologically, economically, we can feed people, we can educate people through poverty. We can solve the problems of poverty. Poverty isn't even something that should exist in this world at this point because we have wealth, we have intellect, we have the ability to develop and design and create whatever we want to. The question is do we want to? That's what we have to ask ourselves. I've been away from a lot of things, for a while now, and incubating, ideas, and doing what I needed to do to how do I say, to deal with the resistance that comes with making change in the world. We ask ourselves, how come these things haven't been around, or why was this thing not invented? There was a reason. There were forces that were set up to prevent, certain patterns of evolution, certain patterns of development, right? All this street hustle, right? It would have dominated it if it really had, access early on, which is why it was suppressed, which is why it was met with resistance. But we have the ability now to see the resistance, acknowledge it for what it is, and go beyond it. And go past it, and I think it just takes courageous folks, who are not afraid to see the new world that's on the horizon, separated by education and economics. We actually can make spaces for everyone, but it requires that the creatives, the academics, the intellectuals, those who think with their heart, and emotional intelligent ones, all come together, in the same platform with the same kind of driving and unifying forces to see this world improve.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Beyonce, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Every time I start an album, I go and watch all of my performances, and I try to figure out, okay, what is it that I could have done better?